Have you noticed that the weather has been hotter than usual?
Have you heard about the rapidly growing sources of deforestation or melting polar ice caps?
Awareness of climate change and other environmental concerns has increased in the last decades. The United Nations Conference on Environment, also called the Earth Summit, held in 1992, came up with a global plan of action called Agenda 21.
Agenda 21 is composed of 40 chapters that propose solutions towards a sustainable development. Sustainable development is the responsibility of every government and all social groups should be involved in. Chapter 31 is all about science and technology. Scientists have responsibilities to search for knowledge and to help protect our world.
My friends and I are going to tell you how scientists are trying to find non-polluting energy sources and also ways of reducing the energy consumption.
So even in the 1940s, the scientists were looking ways to reduce the amount of energy used in agriculture. So to do that, they came with a project called the Revolution, where they tried to reduce the amount of water used in agriculture, but also try to reduce the world hunger. So to do that, they tried to grow 2 crops a year. And to do that, they used top quality seeds, and they had to improve the irrigation system. So the revolution, apart from being a huge improvement of the amount of crops, it was also a huge improvement in the irrigation system. So now let me tell you all about the advantages of the green revolution. As you can see in the picture, the main advantage was that it was a huge improvement in the amount of crop during the years, but also it was a huge amount of water that was saved from the improved irrigation system, and also by improving the tools in agriculture, they reduced the amount of work the humans had to do in agriculture. So now let's talk about the disadvantage. As you can see in the picture, there are 5 main disadvantages. The first one is the diversity loss, because they start using only one kind of crop. The second one is the erosion of the soil, because they overuse the soil by growing crops twice a year. The third one is the air pollution, because by using the agriculture tools, they were sending greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. And the third one is the water contamination, because of the chemical products added to the crops. And the last one, and probably the most important, is that the green revolution will lead to an overpopulation of the world. So now that I've told you a way the scientists have found to reduce the amount of energy used in agriculture, my friend is going to tell you another way to reduce the amount of energy used in architecture.
Okay, as my friend said before, another way of reducing energy consumption is house designing, which is a new kind of design used in building houses, which tries to keep energy safe and also tries to reduce the amount of energy used in house. So firstly, when designing a house, first thing you have to think about is the placing and location. If the location you want to build a house is in a cold weather place, the orientation of the house must be so the light of the sun enters as much as possible into the house. So it's going to be hot inside and cold outside. And if the place you are going to build the house is in a hot weather place, you must place the house so that the heat of the light of the sun enters as little as possible to the house, so the house is going to be a normal temperature inside and hot outside. Then, an important system of the house designing is the insulation system, which is composed with the insulation of the windows and walls insulation. In the windows, it's a special kind of window with 3 glasses that keeps the heat or the cold inside the house and keeps the hot or the cold outside of the house. So it keeps separated the hot and cold in both places where the weather conditions. And more or less the same with the wall insulation system, which is composed with different materials, so it happens the same that with the window. So the main advantage of this house designing is that if you use all of such systems, you could save a lot of energy at home. Okay, so now the main disadvantage of this house designing is that for building these houses you must make a very big investment because all of those systems cost a lot, but if you just use one of them or little portion, you will have more or less the same save of energy than if you use all of them. So the main disadvantage of this house designing is that all those systems. So now that we have seen a few ways of reducing the energy consumption, we are going to see a few ways of producing renewable energy.
As my friend said before, I'm going to show you a different ways of producing renewable energy. This one is called wave energy. It consists in use the wave energy to produce electricity. Okay, let's see how it works. Okay, waves move this rotor up and down, and it produces mechanical energy. And this mechanical energy is transformed into electricity. This electricity is transmitted via a standard underwater cable to land and goes to your houses. And as we see here, the wave energy potentially as big as hydropower, up to 15,000 yearly worldwide. And now the main disadvantage is that this way of producing energy is not developed. Another disadvantage is that it has a visual and noise pollution, and it damages the ecosystem of the water. And another disadvantage is that because of the water, the manufacturer needs to be changed very often. And now my friend is going to tell you a different way of produce renewable energy called solar island.
As my friend said, now I'm going to tell you another type to produce renewable energy that is solar island. This concept is created by a Swiss enterprise, and solar island has the goal to create electricity with solar rays and ocean water. Each solar island has 5 kilometers diameter and has 20 meters tall and 100 mirrors panels. Also, each island has a very big pipe circuit system, and they are expected to work 25 years. Each island creates energy using thermosolar systems. When the mirrors catch the solar rays and the water, the ocean water, comes into pipe system, the steam created moves a turbine that produces electricity energy. Now I'm going to tell you the main advantages of solar island. Solar island can produce up to 1 gigawatt of electricity, and it has low cost, and also the energy, the solar island can be supplied at night. The disadvantages of solar islands are that the maintenance becomes more difficult, and they have problems with the salinity that causes faster deteriorations, and also they have problems with strong winds or strong storms.
Now I'm going to tell you another way of producing renewable energy, and this is hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity is the most important renewable energy of the world, and it's the 19% of the total amount of energy produced in all the world. And the main hydroelectric power plants are made in China, which is this that we can see in the picture, and it's named the Three Gorges Dam. It has more than 2 kilometers wide and almost 200 meters deep. And another main hydroelectric power plants are in Canada or Brazil. Now I'm going to tell you how it works. First of all, we have to build a dam, and then when we have the water level, when the water level is right, we can open the gate and the water is going to pass through this pipe, and then it's going to reach the turbine. When the water reaches the turbine, it spins at a great speed and makes spin at the same time the rotor and stator, which forms the generator, and that, because of electromagnetism, creates electricity, and then this electricity reaches our houses. Now I'm going to tell you some advantages and disadvantages of this kind of electricity. The main advantages are that it's a renewable energy and it doesn't pollute the atmosphere. And another advantage is that it can be more developed than now, so we can produce a big amount of energy. For example, the Three Gorges Dam can produce as much as electricity as a nuclear power plant, as a big nuclear power plant. And that's all for about advantage. The main disadvantages are the building costs that are very expensive, and also that we can't use this kind of electricity in all places, obviously, because we need the rain. And finally, the last disadvantage is that we flood the near area of the dam.
And now the question is, what can we do? Okay, first of all, we should follow these easy energy saving habits, such as unplug appliances, switch off TVs and stereos, use lamp bulbs. For example, you can walk to school or use transport public, use appliances efficiently, use sunlight wisely. We should choose a clean power supplier. And the most important thing,
we should reduce, reuse and recycle. Think about it.